Welcome back to Manga Storian's Complete Story Series. Today we're going to be continuing our story of Berserk. Now, if you missed last week, I did explain that we ran into a production issue here at Manga Storian. In order to bring you a weekly Friday Berserk, we did have to shorten 2 of the episodes. This is the second episode that is being shortened, and we will be covering chapters 98, 99, and 100. If you haven't seen us in a little while, then just so you know, we are after the Golden Age and the Eclipse at this point. It has now been 2 years, and Guts is on a journey to try and kill Griffith, but it's taking him quite a while. Casca's mind has been broken, and she doesn't exactly know what's going on anymore, and he is now joined by a little elf named Puck, who doesn't seem to know his own origins. They have just rescued a girl named Jill who brought them to their village, but the village was a little scared of Puck, so they spent the night out in the windmill on the outskirts. Not long into Guts' sleep, a demon begins to crawl down from the shadows towards Guts. And just as it gets close enough to reach out to him, Guts slams his fist back, crushing it. He groans, stating that it was the first decent night's sleep that he's had in the past few days. And then he sees Jill sleeping next to him. He looks at her for a moment, wondering what to do, but as Puck falls out from above, he lands bouncing off her head. As she wakes up, Guts gets up, telling her to tell him about this misty valley. She tells him that it was a beautiful valley that had a mist covering it for an entire year, and legend has it that the elves used to live there. Puck goes on to ask, why is everyone upset when they see elves then? And Jill says that that's because of what happened a few years ago. The elves arrived, attacking and destroying gardens, storehouses, and even slaughtering the livestock. The people began to state that it was the elves who did this, and Puck says that that's impossible. The elves would never do such a thing. There must be something wrong. And Jill tells him that they also attacked the village once, but there wasn't much light to see. So the only thing that she could make out was an insect-like thing with a human body that flew by, and Guts says that sounds about right. She goes on telling him that there's something wrong though. They don't just destroy things, they also take children. Jill almost has a smile on her face as she says that, and as Guts looks at her, the brand begins to bleed on his neck. The brand that brings the demons. Guts quickly turns and slams open the door and he sees hundreds of little lights all flying around towards the town. Puck flies out asking what are they going to do, and Guts tells him that those are not normal elves, and with a smile he says, they're my kind of elves. Soon the elves begin to fly down into the city, flying into a dog and ripping it apart. Then they move on to the livestock, killing and ripping them apart as well. Everyone runs inside of their homes, and even there, the elves force their way in. In one home, the elves begin to tear the flesh off the parents of a small boy. And with no other choice, the boy runs outside. The elves shoot out from the house towards the boy, all shouting, "Come play!" As the boy runs, he sees a shadow before him, and Guts tells him, "Get down now!" Using his sword as a bat, Guts swings the sword broadside out, swatting away at the elves. All of the elves stop and stare at Guts, but Guts swings his sword back over his shoulder, and he stares down. Guts then looks over the doorway where the boy ran from, and he sees the bloodied bodies inside. The elves begin to tell the boy to come play with them, and Guts laughs. Haha, elves, huh? He turns back to the boy asking, do you want revenge? The boy shakes his head no, so Guts picks him up, stating that then he's going to be made useful. Outside of the town, Jill and Puck begin making their way in, and that's when they see Guts holding the boy by his shirt on the end of his sword. The elves begin to flutter around, and as they get closer, Guts goes charging down the street. All of the elves laugh and smile as they give chase, and soon Guts reaches the edge of the town. He sees a barn up ahead, and after inspecting it, he feels like this should be the place. He flings the boy inside, and he tells him not to move, and all of the elves shout, "Don't stop now!" The faces of the elves begin to change, and they all begin to look like little bugs. And all of the bugs begin to swarm around Guts as he swings his sword. As he steps back, his gunpowder pouch begins to fall, and then he holds out his fake arm, and the fist drops. Fire shoots out, burning all of the bugs. The blast from the arm launches Guts back through the barn and out the back. Then, it begins to catch fire. The little boy runs under Guts' cloak for cover, so he picks him up, telling him, hey, you were good bait. The barn begins to burn, and Puck and Jill make their way as everyone stops when they feel something. They all look up to see another, much larger bug flying down towards them. Guts watches as the leader of the elves floats down in front of him, stating, you're pretty strong for being a human. Why is that? And as he looks, Guts says, you're no elf. You're just an insect. The woman tells him, that's a mean thing to say. Why would you say such a thing? However, as all of the elves shout for her to kill him, Puck notices there's something different about them. The little ones tell the others it's time to get him, and the flies begin to go in and attack. Guts swings and he misses, and the little girl begins to laugh. Suddenly a cut appears on Guts' arm, and Puck tells him that he needs to hold on a second. Guts tells him that he doesn't really have time for this, and Puck shouts, those elves are not elves, they're the missing children. The way they're acting and behaving, they're all acting like children. The little girl then shouts to Puck, stating, you shouldn't be talking to a human. Me and PKF will punish you all. The little girl flies towards Guts, and Jill gets between them, and Guts shouts that he knows PKF. She's Rosine, isn't she? The swoop by the little girl misses as she flies back up and she asks Jill if that's really her. Jill tries to call out to her, but Rosine signals for all of the others, and they all leave. Jill looks back to Guts, and Guts falls over, stating that the dust from her wings must have been some sort of poison. As Jill helps him up, some of the villagers run up asking what happened. What did they do to the barn? And then they all see the young boy and they shout, "How could you use a child like that?" Guts laughs. It's funny. Where the hell were you when the kid came running out? The villagers all go quiet for a second, and then they ask Guts if they can have the children back. Jill doesn't say anything, but through the crowd, her mother makes her way to her, telling her to hurry over. As her and Thomas begin walking back, everyone looks back at the fire and then sees that it is full of children's bodies. The villagers begin to panic, and Guts sees that the elves reverted back to their human forms once they died. He then grabs Jill and he tells everyone, there's been a change of plans. He pulls his knife out and he tells everyone, step aside. Everyone begins to panic as Guts holds the knife to Jill, and Puck shouts, what are you doing? But as Puck starts to yell, the villagers all notice that there's an elf with Guts. One of the villagers runs to Guts with an axe, and he catches it, telling them to just stop. Guts then starts to walk out of the village when he notices Jill's father watching. He quickly turns away and says nothing, and Jill just sighs at the thought of her father not even coming to help. Once they make their way out of the town, Guts releases Jill, telling her that she's free to go. And as he walks off, Jill stops for a moment and tells him she's coming with him because he's headed to the Misty Valley, isn't he? Jill goes on stating that the big elf may have been her friend who mysteriously vanished a long time ago. So Guts looks back, telling her, just give it up. I'm planning on killing her, so there's no reason that you should come. As Guts walks off, Puck tells him, you could have really hurt her, you know? And then he sees the blood dripping. Puck tells him to let him take a look, but Guts waves him off, stating that he doesn't remember letting him follow. Plus, now people are suspicious of him. Puck tells him not to be like that. Besides, who's the one that's going to make light of the dark situation? But Guts grabs him, telling him, I have a growing urge to crush you. And then he tosses him to the side. A short while later, Guts stops to tend to his wounds, and he tries to counter the poison by feeding off of a snake's blood. But it isn't enough to keep the poison at bay. He bites down on a cocoa sprig, and he prepares for the night to come. And as he drifts off, the brand starts to bleed, and Guts sees the fetus that Casca gave birth to in the fire. Not only that, the bodies of all of the children begin to appear around him, and Guts shouts at the fetus, stating, just try and take me with you. And that concludes another shorter episode of Berserk. We're gonna try to bring you more Berserk and get it back up to snuff as far as longer episodes. I ended up doing one extra chapter, so we did chapter 101 in this one. I'm trying to keep this on track, and like I said, the production issues are due to the fact that we ended up skipping a couple of chapters, so we're trying to figure out what happened there. It's all fixed now, but that's what's causing a couple of shorter episodes. I hope you guys enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to Manga Historian for Berserk videos every Friday, and I'll see you next time right here.